Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bharti Foundation and CENTA's Teaching Professionals Olympiad Orientation. It's great to see so many of you already joining. I can see 42 people have already joined. We'll wait for a couple more minutes and then we'll start the session. Okay, welcome Raman Kumar, Pravesh Kumar, Lalit Kumar, Syed Rayaz, Lake Raj, Sunil Singh. Welcome, everyone. Okay, Divya is asking about the sound. Am I audible? If I'm audible, please type in the comment section and let me know if I'm audible, if all of you can see me and the screen. Hi, Sharmila, Nancy. Hi, Asuram. Okay, we'll wait for one more minute before we start the session so that more people can join. So far, I can see 55 people have joined. That's great. Thank you, Manjeet, for clarifying that I'm audible. Hope all of you can see my slides as well. If you can see the slide deck as well, maybe give me a thumbs up on the comments. Okay, Mahesh has said that the voice is okay. That's great. I'm audible. Great. Thank you, Harjinder. Rajwinder, Jeet, it might be some issue with your device because other people can hear us. Okay, it's 3:35 already, and we have around 50 or so people on the session. So we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Namaste. My name is Purvi. I'm from CENTA. I'm a business development associate at CENTA, and I'll be conducting today's orientation session for the Bharti Foundation and CENTA TPO, or the Teaching Professionals Olympiad. So, in this session, we'll be going through what is uh, the Teaching Professionals Olympiad for those of you who might be taking this assessment for the very first time. Uh, I hope everybody is comfortable with English. If any of you would like me to also talk in Hindi in between, just let me know on the chat. I'm sorry, I cannot speak in any other language other than English or Hindi. So, primarily, I'll be speaking in English where needed. I might switch to Hindi if people are not comfortable with English. So, you can let me know in the chats, or maybe if anybody is proficient in both English or Hindi or any other language, you can translate on the chat. Okay, Smriti has requested for Hindi as well. Yes, Smriti, मैं पूरी कोशिश करूंगी कि बीच बीच में हिंदी में भी थोड़ी बहुत बात हो. ओके, सुधीर हैज ऑल्सो रिक्वेस्टेड हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश. ठीक है, आई विल ट्राई माई बेस्ट कि थोड़ा हिंदी एंड थोड़ी इंग्लिश में हो, बट प्राइमरली हो ज़्यादातर आई विल बी टॉकिंग इन इंग्लिश. So I hope all of you will understand, and there won't be much issues. Okay, great. So let's begin the session. I think most of you might already be aware of Center for Teacher Accreditation, or CENTA, what we do, why we do. But in case you aren't, I'll just quickly walk you through it. CENTA was created with the vision of making teaching aspirational. So, how do we do that? So, basically, we are a registered certification trademark, which means that we can certify teachers and other various other educational entities. And CENTA's certification is a mark of an independent entity or agency for any educational institution or teacher. And basically, what we do, our primary job is to certify teachers based on their competencies, right? So, what does it mean certifying teachers based on their competencies? So, obviously, all of you must be teachers, all of you must be aware that it takes a lot of skill to be a teacher. I have been a teacher myself for 2 years, and it takes a lot of different types of skills and knowledge, and a certain mindset goes into actually becoming a teacher, right? So we've got an assessment. We've got first of all, we've got the CENTA standards, which is a framework for just it lays down what all are the competencies that a good teacher or a quality teacher must have. And based on those center standards, we've got the center teaching quotient and the teaching professionals olympiad, which is an assessment, 2 hour assessment, which teachers can take. And based on the score that you get from the assessment, you get certified. And once you're certified, now why do we want to certify teachers, right? You might ask. So we certify teachers because based on this certification, teachers can use this for their own career growth, to get rewards and recognition like you can get in the Teaching Professionals Olympiad, for promotions, for better job opportunities, and so on. So the idea is that once a teacher is certified, they can use it for their professional development. And once they get those rewards, recognition, once they see that value and the career growth, they will drive their own learning. And this will create a pull for professional development, thereby making teaching an aspirational career and leading to more teachers getting encouraged and motivated and taking up the certification. This will create a virtuous cycle, as you can see on my screen. And this is what we hope to do with our Teaching Professionals Olympiad. So, why do we want to create this self driven learning or the pull for professional development? Mainly because this will create motivated, competent, and effective teachers. जितने टीचर्स ज़्यादा अपने प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, उतने ही ज़्यादा वो मोटिवेटेड होंगे और इम्प्रूव करेंगे अपने स्किल्स को, अपनी कॉम्पिटेंसीज को, एंड इससे quality education भी improve होगा. So this will lead to high quality education in a self-sustained manner. Basically, once the teachers improve, we know that teachers are kind of, they are the most important people in building the education system, right? If we don't have good teachers, we will not be able to give quality education to our students. So if we want to improve the quality of education in our country, we want to improve the standards of teaching in the country. And that happens when we've got motivated, competent, and effective teachers. So this is in very brief what CENTA does and what we are trying to achieve with our certification and with our TPO. And in today's session, we are going to mainly cover these broad 3 or 4 topics. Since I'm sure all of you would have registered for the Teaching Professional Olympiad by Bharti Foundation and CENTA, which is happening on 7th of Jan. So we will be discussing the prelims. The prelims are happening on 7th Jan. The finals will happen on 30th. So we'll be giving you an overview of the TPO. So what can you expect? आप क्या expect कर सकते हैं इसमें? फॉर्मेट कैसा होना चाहिए, आप कैसे प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं इसके लिए, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स विल बी कवर्ड. So preparation format, preparation tips, prelims format, all of these things will be covered. We also have a school leaders track about which I will discuss very briefly. And lastly, we'll be discussing practice questions. So many of you ask us ki, what type of questions are going to come in the prelims, how do we prepare for it, what is the format, how many questions will be asked, how long will it be, what all do I need. So all of these questions that you might have about the TPO, we are going to try and address all of them in today's session. We're just 1 hour in the session, so we'll move quickly. But if you have any questions, please feel free to post on the comment section. And towards the end, hopefully we'll get some time to address your questions, right? So we'll just move on with the first section, which is the overview of the TPO prelims. So before I tell you what the TPO is all about, I would like to know from you guys, आप में से कितनों ने पहले TQ या TPO लिया है सेंटा का? If you can just post on the comments, how many of you have taken the CENTA TPO or TQ, um, maybe last year or the year before that? If you can just post on the comments, that would be great. Okay, it seems nobody has taken it before. Not an issue at all. I think then this session becomes even all the more important for all of you, since none of you seem to have taken it before. Okay, Mahavir Singh has taken it earlier. Great job. Okay, thank you for that, Mahavir Singh. For the others, I'll quickly tell you what the TPO is. TPO stands for Teaching Professionals Olympiad, and this is an international competition for teachers. So you might have heard about the Students Olympiad, the National Science Olympiad, and different exams happening for students, right? But there are none for teachers till now. So this is the seventh edition. We've been doing this for the past 7 years, and earlier we used to have it in physical centers, but now we have moved completely online. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can take it from anywhere in the world. And we have a lot of people participating from different countries as well, not just from India. So you will get to participate and compete with teachers all over the world, not just in India. And there are two stages to this competition. We'll go into further details later. The first stage, which is the prelims, is happening for all of you on 7th of Jan. The finals will happen on the 30th of Jan. So the top 5,000 people who qualify, they go on to the finals. Not everyone qualifies because it can be quite competitive. But I hope most of you do qualify and go on to the finals, which will be held on 30th of Jan, right? And what does this test assess you on? So mainly it's going to assess you on your subject knowledge, your pedagogical knowledge, and various teaching competencies like your core competency, professional competencies. It will also it also has a part dedicated to communication. We all are teachers, we all know that it's very important to communicate well with the child or the student. Otherwise there's no point to how much we know or what are the best practices that we know if we are not able to communicate well. So communication is a very important part, and that will also be assessed for in the assessment. How we do that, we'll discuss that in the upcoming slides. So we are hosting this for the seventh time. As I mentioned, we are very grateful to all our partners: Reliance Foundation, Bharti Foundation, Oxford, Buckingham, and we are this. Uh, TPO offers all its participants several prizes and benefits, as you can see. So you have the option of course, going on to the finals, and if you win in the finals, you have cash awards worth rupees 25 lakhs. But even if you don't maybe win a cash award, there are lots of other prizes for people at different levels. There's media recognition, there's digital badges and certificates. If you score above 50 in the prelims, you get a digital badge and certificate which you can leverage. And then we've also got some premium training opportunities from Oxford University Press. Of course, Bharti Foundation will be recognizing the top performers. So some of you would be winning some prize or recognition from Bharti as well. And we also offer some discounts for the finalists and the various other things that we offer. Everyone who takes the test gets a fully confidential and personal scorecard. So that scorecard is actually very useful for you because you can see exactly what are the skills that you're great at, that you're really good at. You can also see what are the different strands or themes in which you can improve on. So maybe if later you feel after taking the test, okay, this is something I need to be better at, you can then try and maybe work on that particular aspect of teaching and you can improve it. So the idea for this competition is not just to get prizes and recognition, which is of course, the primary motivator for most people to take part, but it's also to see where exactly you stand. Not in terms of competing with people, but just in terms of seeing, okay, what am I really good at and what are the things that I can improve on. And trust me, I've taken the DPO prelim myself a while back, and it really the scorecard is very helpful in just understanding our own competencies. So that's all for the prizes and benefits. We'll move on to seeing, okay, what exactly are the different aspects of this assessment. The first thing is that it's fully online. ये पूरा ऑनलाइन टेस्ट है, इसके लिए आपको कहीं कोई सेंटर में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपको बस एक फोन या एक कंप्यूटर की जरूरत है जो इंटरनेट से कनेक्टेड हो. All you need is a phone or a computer connected to the internet with a front facing camera. कैमरा बहुत ही जरूरी है बिकॉज ये जो असेसमेंट है it is proctored remotely, and that is why your video camera needs to be there and it needs to be switched on throughout the duration of the test. It's a 2-hour test. During the test, you will need your video camera to be on. So please make sure that, of course, it being completely online offers a lot of benefits to people, but that doesn't mean you will be able to cheat in any way because we'll be proctoring you remotely. Your video camera will be on all the time. Then the next part is that it's 2 stages. So as I already mentioned, the prelims are on 7 Jan for all of you, and the finals for those who qualify for the finals will be held on 30th of Jan 2022. The next thing is, of course, that it is completely international. So you've got participants not just from India, but you've got people from Nepal, Philippines, UK, Africa, Bangladesh, from all over the place joining. So it will be quite a huge, diverse set of people that you will be competing with. The next point is that it's a 2-hour test for the prelims. So in today's session, we'll be focusing mainly on the prelims because the prelims is something all of you will be answering. Finals will come later, and finals maybe everyone doesn't qualify for it. Only the top 5,000 qualify. But for the prelims, all of you will be taking it. It will be a 2-hour test which will have 50 MCQs or multiple choice questions, and there will be 2 short videos. So remember at the beginning I told you that there's a communication is tested in this assessment. How do we do that? We do that through short videos, and I'll give you more details about it as we move on. And the last point is that there are 24 subject tracks available. So somebody might be teaching maths in a primary level, somebody might be teaching English in maybe secondary, somebody might be teaching science in middle school. So for all of these different people, we have got different subject tracks. And in different subject tracks, the subject or the content knowledge will be based from that specific subject and grade track, right? So, okay, somebody is not able to join the session because of restriction mode. You can just share the YouTube link with that person, and on YouTube it should be available to everyone. So everyone should be able to view this stream on YouTube. I will just share the YouTube link with all of you on the chat, and you can share this with your friend and ask them to see this YouTube link. YouTube पर सभी ये stream देख सकते हैं. Okay. Yes, I've just shared the link in the comments. All of you can view it over there. Okay. So 24 subject tracks, depending on which subject and grade you teach, you can take up that particular track. For example, I took up the TPO prelims in secondary physics because I taught science to grade 9 and 10. So, and physics is my subject that I wanted to take it in. So I have taken physics. Somebody else could maybe take it in middle school English if that is what they teach. right? So depending on what subject you teach, what grade you teach, we've got different tracks for everyone, right? And it caters to mostly all the subject and grades, so it shouldn't be an issue finding your specific subject and grade combination. The next part is I'll just quickly tell you a little bit about how we have gone about designing the test. So, as I mentioned, we have been doing this for 7 years. This is the seventh edition. And in this, we make sure that we are continually getting feedback on the test and we are incorporating that feedback. So, for example, a couple of years back, we didn't have any section on verbal communication, but now we have put in a part on verbal communication because we know for teachers it's very important to be able to communicate well with the student. So, based on that feedback, we added a new section a few years back. Then we've got a very balanced syllabus coverage. We make sure that we include across syllabus from across all the boards. So it's not something that only CBSE teachers can take or ICSE teachers can take. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. Whether you are from a state board or you are from an IB curriculum or you are teaching ICSE students, आप जो कोई भी बोर्ड से बोर्ड को पढ़ाते हैं, आप ये टेस्ट ले सकते हैं. So it doesn't matter which board you are following in your particular school, right? Also, we incorporate changes in CTET. So the national test, which is for teachers, we make sure that we also keep up with the changes happening in that and we incorporate that as well, right? Then invigilation in an online environment. We are having this test completely online, but that doesn't mean that we will not be invigilating your test, right? That is why I mentioned that you need to have a video camera and that should be on throughout the 2 hours of the test. So there is two layers of proctoring that is done. One is AI based, and AI is just artificial intelligence. So the computer and the software is designed such that it will do proctoring. But of course, human intervention is required everywhere. So there's manual or human proctoring done as well, which is which may be I mean many to one one to many proctoring, right? So we are going to be watching you throughout the test. So again, I know none of you will cheat, of course, but do not even try and look here and there or use any other device because then your test gets automatically cancelled. And a lot of times people just say, "Oh, but I was just like looking down or something." But no, you can't do that because it's an online test and you have to be focused on the screen at which you are taking the test, and you must not move about or leave the room or anything of that sort. So please keep this in mind when you are taking the test. Third point is digital badges to celebrate and recognize individual achievements. The whole idea behind doing or conducting the TPO for us is to encourage and motivate teachers. And we completely understand that because it's a competition, not everyone is going to get to the top 100 or 5,000 and get a prize, right? But we want to encourage, we want to acknowledge all of the achievements and the hard work that every teacher is doing. So if you do get a score above 50, that means you're a very competent and good teacher. And irrespective of whether you get a prize, we will celebrate that achievement by giving you a digital badge, which you can use. You can show it to employers, or you can even use it to get certain CENTA points. CENTA is a community of more than 5 lakh teachers, and on that platform, teachers engage daily with various learning resources. They can also find a lot of other things that can help them in their lessons and just in their daily lives as a teacher. It's really useful. So I would suggest for those of you who are not aware of CENTA, you can check it out. I'm posting the link on the chat. So it's m.centa.org. You can save the link and you can maybe check it out later. So my center, you will get this digital badge which you can save, and you can use it for points on my center, which will again help you in uh, over there. And also, if you are maybe just in your own organization, you can show that digital badge, and that is something you can be really proud of. Then stronger support of the organization for a positive impact. We work with schools, and these schools also recognize and celebrate the teachers who do get these digital badges or who do get certain achievements. So all of you are coming through Bharti Foundation, and Bharti Foundation, as I'd already mentioned earlier, they will be recognizing some of the top performers. And so that is how we want to encourage and motivate all of you. So we'll go on to the next part, which is what is it that you need to take this test. The very first thing that you need is obviously infrastructure. And I have already mentioned it quite a few times now that the assessment is online and you can take it from anywhere. But you will, of course, need a computer or a mobile phone which is connected to the internet, and it should have at least a minimum speed of 500 kbps. You can easily check the speed of your internet connection online. So please do that before the test. Make sure your hardware is working properly, because there it shouldn't create any issues while you're taking the test, right? So please make sure you do all these hardware checks before the test and not at the time of the test, because obviously then it will distract you and it will also take away time from the test. We send emails to everyone with the test instructions, a demo video for using the platform 24 hours before the test day. So please check your email 24 hours before the test, that is on 6th. Everyone, tomorrow is 6th, everyone tomorrow will check the email for the email they would have received from CENTA, which would outline all that you need to know about the test. What time is it? What do you need for the test? What are the instructions that you must follow during the test? Remember how during the exams we give our students all these instructions. Pen कहाँ रखना है, क्या paper लाना है या नहीं लाना है, where they should keep the bag, the bottle, all of those things. So just like that, we'll also be sending you all of these instructions. Please, 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 and I cannot stress this enough, please read all the instructions thoroughly. It's very important that you read and follow them to avoid any problems or issues during the test. Okay? Everything that you need to know about the test is already mentioned in the email. Also, if you have not received the email in your inbox, do not panic. Many times the email goes into the spam folder. So सबके email में एक spam folder होता है जिसमें unwanted mails कहीं चले जाते हैं. So make sure you check your spam folder just in case that the mail has gone there. Sometimes the email tries to act too smart and they send some important and useful emails also to spam folder. Please check your spam folder for emails from CENTA or Center for Teacher Accreditation. You will definitely get the mail if you've provided the correct email ID. If you've provided the wrong email ID, I'm sorry, but then you might not get the email. So please ensure that you have provided the correct email ID, check your spam folder, read all the instructions that are given, and then you will have no issues at all in the test, I promise you. Okay, so let's move on to the next and very important part, which is the format. So how is it that this test is structured? And here we are talking only about the prelims, which is day after tomorrow for all of you, right? We are not going to be talking about the finals at all. Over here, we are talking about the prelims format. So the TPO prelims is structured such that you will have 50 questions. They will be multiple choice questions. Then there will be 2 videos that you will have to submit. And the total assessment is of 100 marks. Just like you have these summative exams at the end of the term for your students. Just like that. So you've got a 100 marks test, 50 MCQs, 2 videos. The MCQ questions are of 75 marks and the video assessment will be of 25 marks. And then in the MCQ, what are we asking you questions about? We ask you questions about your subject expertise. So, for example, if I've taken secondary physics as my topic, I'll be asked questions related to physics and topics of physics, right? Then pedagogical content knowledge or teaching practices. For those of you who have been teaching for a long time or you have done a BEd, you must be really familiar with all the pedagogical content knowledge and what are the best teaching practices. And that should be a fairly easy part for you, which will there will be 20 questions in this part, and it will be total of 30 marks. Then the last part, and here we have got only 5 questions for 5 marks, are communication skills. So there are also MCQ questions based on your communication skills, which you'll have to answer. Total will be of 75 marks. Then the video assessment part. Immediately after you finish your MCQ part, you will be directed towards the video assessment part. Now, the MCQ part usually lasts for about 1.5 hours, and then the last half an hour is for the video assessment. In the video assessment, you have 2 questions of 25 marks. The first video is related to your subject. So it will be subject specific verbal evaluation. You will get a prompt. You'll have time to practice your response, and then you can record your response and submit it. Everything will be on that platform itself, so you cannot leave the test at any point and go and move to any other camera or anything else. Make sure that you stay on the platform. All the instructions will be there on the screen, so just follow the instructions and you'll be fine. The second video is a subject agnostic verbal evaluation. So you'll be asked any general question and you'll be asked to speak on it, right? So this is the format: 50 MCQ questions, 2 videos, 100 marks, 2 hours. First 1.5 hours will be on the MCQ questions, where you will be quizzed about your subject expertise, pedagogical content knowledge, and communication skills. The last half an hour is the video assessment, where you will be asked to record and submit 2 videos. One will be specific to your subject and one will be subject agnostic. So it doesn't matter what subject you have taken, it can be any general thing. For example, tell me about a picnic that you went to. I'm just giving you an example. They don't actually ask you about this, but I'm just giving you an example of a subject agnostic verbal evaluation question. Let's then move on to the next part, which is how to prepare, because many of you are thinking, okay, MCQ questions, video evaluation, how do I even prepare? There's no book that I can go and read for this. No, there isn't, right? The only thing that you can do to prepare is just kind of do a bit of self-reflection, right? Self-reflection is very important for us as teachers because it helps us understand what we are doing well and what we can do better. So some of the questions that you can ask yourself, or you can ask a friend who might be a teacher or a student to help you out, right? So peer learning or self-reflection is very important here. You can maybe think about things like, what am I teaching? Why is it important? Then you can also think about how you can engage your students, how you can teach a particular topic in an interesting manner. For example, if I'm teaching my students about refraction, can I do one simple experiment in the class to get their attention and to engage with them and to arouse their curiosity? Then how am I going to convey the theory part of it? How do I explain all the formulas and the different meanings of the symbols to them? What if my students did not understand something? How do I then help them understand it better? What are the examples I can give, or what are the activities that they can maybe engage in to understand it? So all of these are the questions that you can reflect on. You can maybe do this by yourself, maybe take some notes, or you can also ask the help of a friend and then engage in this reflection practice. Other than that, of course, we've got a lot of sample questions available on my center again. So I'll again post the link for all of you for my center. On my center, the learning resources are available, and over there we've got a question archive. So every single day we post a question of the day on my center, and these are questions which would be asked on the TPO or the TQ. And over there, you also can see which is the correct answer and why the other options are wrong. So it's very useful for all of you to go through the question archive on my center. I will just post the link for my center again on the chat. And for those of you who didn't get it before, can now save this link and maybe check out the question archive later. We've also got a lot of free learning resources, webinars available on my center platform that all of you can watch. There are also pre-recorded sessions available on our YouTube channel. Please go through all of them. That will be fairly useful for all of you in preparing for this particular exam. The next part is the school leaders track. I'll move through it very quickly. I'm not sure how many of you might have taken up the school leaders track in this particular group, but for the benefit of all, we'll just go through this. So, who can participate in school leaders? Many of you might be teachers right now, but you might be thinking, okay, one day I want to become the principal of a school. So, it is for current school leaders, aspiring school leaders, principals, coordinators, anyone can take. It's a finals only track, so there's no prelims. Till now, we had been discussing how to prepare for the TPO prelims, but in this particular track, there's no prelims, only finals, which will be on the 30th of Jan. And for this, we will be assessing people on not the subject or the content, but rather on leadership qualities, planning, management, on all the different skills that are required for a school leader to be proficient in order to succeed as one. So the last part that we'll be moving on to, and this is probably the most weighted bit, is the past questions or the sample questions, right? Now you will see questions of similar nature in the test, but of course not the same ones. So you can prepare accordingly for the test if you like. Again, I'm reiterating, you can find these sample questions on our My Center free learning resources page. So the link has been posted on the chat for all of you. You can go on My Center, go to free learning resources and access the questions archive. So, for the next part, I would love for all of you to actively participate. As I show up the questions and the options, I would love for all of you to type in your responses in the comments. That will be very useful for you also to see, okay, what am I getting right or what am I getting wrong. So, we'll go through a few sample questions. Would love for everyone to participate in this. The first question is on subject expertise in English. So, for the English teachers out there, maybe you can tell us what would be your response to this. The question is identify the sentence in which the word like is used as a preposition. The options are A, he looks like his father. Option B, she looked like she was about to burst. C, I would like to visit him sometime next week. And D, the conference was a chance to meet like minded people. So there are four options. Would love to hear your responses on this question. You need to identify in which sentence like is used as a preposition. Okay, preposition was definitely one of the toughest chapters in English, I think. Okay, I can see some responses. Pida Ram has written B, Sharmila Tanwar has written D, Meera Nair A, Jatinder B, Gurpreet Kaur has written C. Interesting. I think we have got A, B, C, D. Everybody has written something or the other. Okay, we'll see what is the response then. The correct response is option A. He looks like his father. So good job, Meera Nair, on getting that right. I think Meera is the only person who got that one right. Great. So why like is not a preposition in B? Because like is a conjunction there. She looked like she was about to burst. So like is joining two parts of the sentence. In option C, like is a verb. And in D, it's an adjective, like minded people. It is describing what kind of people. So actually, A is the correct answer. He looks like his father. His is the pronoun here, and the word before that is the preposition over here. Right? Not sure if I will explain that very well because I'm not an English teacher, mind you. But the correct option will be A. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is for mathematics. So something, okay, sorry, I think I skipped the question. Yeah, I'm really sorry. The question actually came before the after the answer. Sorry about that. But this is the question. I'll read it out for everyone, and I would love to hear the responses from all the maths teachers in the audience. The question is: imagine that the builders of the pyramid had made a mistake, and instead of building it the way it is, they had built it so that the pyramid was slanted to one side, but ensured that all the other dimensions remained the same. What would then have been the volume of stones used in this skewed pyramid? So the options are A, same as the original pyramid, B, less than that in the original pyramid, C, greater than that in the original pyramid, and D, possible to say only if the angle of the slant is known. So you can see it's a maths question, but there isn't any calculation required. It's a very conceptual question. And I would love to hear what are your thoughts on what could the possible response be. Okay, Hemlata Yadav has said C. Jaswinder has said C. Ram has said B. Okay, interesting. Jatinder has said A. Sharmila has answered C. Very interesting. Okay, so I can see people are going between A, B, and C. Let's look at the answer. The correct answer is A, same as the original pyramid. Okay, so because the height is not increasing or decreasing, hence option B and C will be incorrect. Because if the height is not increasing or decreasing, there will be no impact on the volume. There's just a slant, right? And slant and volume has no relation at all. Volume is only related to the three dimensions of length, breadth, and height. So since the height has not changed, length and breadth, nothing is mentioned about it. Only a slant has been mentioned. The volume remains same as the original pyramid. Let's move on to question number 3. Now, question number 3 is on pedagogical content knowledge. So it's content design and it's subject specific, right? I'll quickly read out the question and the options. Would love to see your responses. Ahmed is going to teach his class 7 students about properties of soil. Which would be the most appropriate learning objective addressing conceptual understanding of the topic? The option A is students can identify the kind of soil that various given crops grow in. B, students can identify the layer of soil to which a given sample belongs. C, students can list the different types of soil. And D, students can make a model of the layers of soil. Okay, I can already see some responses on the chat. Sulbha Yadav has written B, so has Alka Singh. Harleen Kaur has written A. Nangal Geeta have mentioned C, and Sharmila has also mentioned A. Okay, interesting. So you can see this is based or related to science, this question, but it's not actually trying to ask you about science knowledge, but rather about pedagogical content knowledge, right? So let's look at the response. The correct response would be B. So for the first one, students can identify the kind of soil that given crops grow in. There's no understanding about the properties of soil. So students don't really need to understand the properties of soil for this. For option C, students can list different types of soil. Again, it's just something that the students can memorize and write down. No conceptual understanding is involved. D, layers of soil. Again, visual representation is involved, not conceptual understanding. But whereas the correct option B, in which you are identifying the layer of soil to which a given sample belongs, that is going to lead to a conceptual understanding. They want to understand about the properties of soil. If they are seeing which sample a particular soil belongs to, that will help them understand the properties. So this will lead to a conceptual understanding, and hence option B is the correct one. Let's go on to the fourth question, which is again related to science. So all the science teachers out there, would love for all of you to put your responses in the comments. The question is, the student says each specialized cell will have a specialized DNA. For example, neurons will have a specialized DNA, which makes it different from a red blood cell. Which of the following analogies or comparison would you use to clarify the student's misconception? The student has given a statement. You need to clarify their doubt, or not doubt, but their misconception or incorrect understanding. What is the analogy or comparison that you would use? So the four options are: an actor reading his part from a master movie script. Option B, an actor reading his dialogues from a portion of the script containing only his scenes. C, an actor reading from a script showing his lines while the other actor lines are blacked out. And option D, an actor reading characters based on a match between physical descriptors. Okay, I can see some responses in the chat. I hope all the science teachers are responding. Sinchan has written that the screen is not clear. Sinchan, please improve the video resolution, the quality of the video by going to the settings in your YouTube, and you can just increase the resolution to be able to see the screen. Okay, so Geeta and Gurpreet have said A, Shami Singh has said C, Rita has said D, Amandeep again C, Sarita is very confident it's D, and Ramphal Verma also D, Lalit has said C. Okay, very good. Let's see the correct answer. I'm actually a science teacher, but I don't know the answer to this one. The answer is C, an actor reading from a script showing his lines while the other actor lines are blacked out. So over here, there's something about DNA and how DNA creates different kinds of neurons. Um, so, how they create the differentiation between neurons and red blood cells. Sorry. I clearly haven't understood the question very well. So, I mean, over here for the science teachers who teach biology, I was never really good at biology, as you can see. You would probably use the option C as an analogy to clarify your students' misconception. Okay, let's go on to the next one, which is question number 5. It's based on pedagogical content knowledge and is subject specific to maths. A student identifies that 5 on 10 is smaller than 15 on 30. Which of the following on its own is the best way to remediate this misconception? Option A, reduce the fractions to their lowest form by finding HCF. Option B, reduce 15 on 30 to get 5 on 10 by dividing numerator and denominator by 3. Show the mapping between two sets of everyday objects in the ratio of 1:2. Represent both fractions on a scale of unit length using 10 and 30 equal parts, respectively. So the student thinks because 5 and 10 are smaller than 15 and 30, 5 on 10 is a smaller fraction than 15 on 30. But obviously, this is not true, because if you reduce it to its lowest form, you'd see that 5 on 10 and 15 on 30 are the same thing, right? But how would you clarify this misconception? So, what would be the best way for you to remediate this misconception? All right, a lot of responses on the chat. I'm very happy to see all the responses. The teacher in me feels very happy. Savita Devi and Karuna Singh have mentioned B. Sharanjeet Kaur is in favor of A. Quality maths. Okay, we have a maths teacher here, says C. Sarita Devi is very sure it's C. New India says it's A. And Raman Kumar says it's C. Okay, so quite a few people are sure that it's C. However, the correct answer is actually D. Represent both fractions on a scale of unit length using 10 and 30 equal parts, respectively. So if you're doing the first method where you are reducing them to its lowest form by using HCF, and as a maths and science student, that is the first thing that I do, right? When I see 5 on 10 and 15 on 30, automatically my brain converts it to its lowest form, which is 1 by 2. But that is just procedure. That will not help clarify the student's misconception, right? Uh, then again, reducing 15 on 30 to get 5 on 10. Again, there's a procedure involved. Unless you explain the rationale behind the procedure, the student will not get it. And trust me, I've been teaching grade 9 and 10 students maths, and I've tried both of these things. It does not work out. I'm talking from experience. Show the mapping between two sets of everyday objects in the ratio of 1 is to 2. It could not work because you're using two different objects, so there might be confusion. So the best thing to do would be you use a scale of unit length, divide it first in 10 parts and then 30 equal parts, and then show, okay, 5 if I'm coloring out of the 10, how much of the length is covered, 15 if I'm coloring out of 30, how much is covered. When that visual representation is there, students will understand it very well, and that is something that will stick with them and they will remember that. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. Question number 6. It's a student assessment subject agnostic question, so it does not matter which subject you're teaching, all of you should be able to answer this. Which of the following statements is most correct about the difference between formative and summative assessments? All of us take a lot of assessments. I used to take a lot of assessments for my grade 9 and 10 students. I'm sure all of you must be doing them as well. Some of them are formative, some are summative. What is the difference between them? So A, they have different purposes and are often conducted at different frequencies but may use similar testing methods. Option D, they have different purposes and are always conducted at different frequencies with different testing methods. Option C, they use different types of testing methods and are conducted at different frequencies, but the purpose is the same. Option D, they often have the same purpose and use similar assessment instruments, but are conducted at different frequencies. Okay, so this is something all the teachers can answer. All of us, this is the basic thing when we start learning about conducting assessments that we learn. What is the difference between the two? But more often than not, I see there might be confusions about this. So let's see what are the responses coming in the chat. Parul Jain has C. Jashan Man has said A. Sulbha also is in favor of A. Sarita says D. Nangal says C. Archana Yadav A. Livjeet Kaur B. Pravesh Kumar C. Aarti Rao is also in favor of C. Sikandar D. Karna Singh D. Okay, so I think all of you have covered A, B, C, D, all of it. But obviously, all four are not correct. Only one is correct, and that is option A. They have different purposes. A summative assessment has a completely different purpose than a formative one. Formative one is to understand where they are maybe going wrong, where there's a misunderstanding, clarify that, and then remediate your teaching as well to cater to that misconception. Summative, on the other hand, is to assess how much they have learned. They're conducted at different frequencies but may use similar testing methods. So, for both formative and summative, you might use MCQs, for example. So, you can use similar testing methods, but the purpose is very different and they're conducted at different frequencies. You tend to do more of formative assessments than summative assessments, right? So, that is why option A is correct. For option D, they have different purposes and are always conducted at different frequencies with different testing methods. Not true. Because you can use the same methods. For example, you're using a pen and paper method of conducting the assessment. It is the same one for formative as well as summative. So it's not necessary that they will always have different frequencies with different testing methods. For option C, they use different types of testing methods conducted at different frequency, but the purpose is same. Purpose is definitely not the same. For formative assessment, it is to understand the gaps. Then for summative, it is to see the performance at the end of a unit. Then the last option, they have the same purpose, use similar assessment instruments conducted at different frequencies. Again, wrong. They do not have the same purpose and they may or may not use similar assessment instruments. Okay, so every part of the statement is very important. Make sure you read the options thoroughly before you choose your option as your answer. Okay, we'll do one last question and then I'll close out. If you have any questions, we'll take that in the end. So we'll do one last question, that is question 7, and this is a communication question. So I mentioned earlier we have 5 questions of 5 marks in communication, and this is a sample question from communication. The question is, using extra words is a common aspect of poor language skills. Identify the sentence where a particular word is definitely redundant. Redundant यानी कि उसका कोई काम नहीं है. Option A, they ended up duplicating their work twice over. B, they tried twice and made exactly the same mistake. C, never ever was such a mistake made in duplication. D, they made errors in duplication far too many times. Okay, I can see Sulbha Yadav has said C, Lalit has said C. Okay, mostly everyone is saying C here. Okay, great. And all of you are right. I can see all of you are great at communicating because the correct answer is option C. Never ever was such a mistake made in duplication. Okay, so with that, I will end my sharing of the screen. And if you have any questions before we close out, I would love to address your questions. We have the last 2 minutes. If you have questions about the prelims, or if you have any question related to CENTA or what CENTA can do for you, I'd love to answer all of these questions. I can see people are still responding on the chat to the questions. That's great. Really happy to see the engagement. Thank you all so much for engaging in this session, and wish you the very best for the TPO prelims, which is scheduled day after tomorrow on 7th of Jan. I hope all of you have a great time giving the assessment. It's actually pretty fun to answer the questions. So don't take too much of stress, don't take too much of tension कि क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, क्या प्रिपेयर करने करे या ना करे. Just relax. All of you are excellent teachers, and all of you will do very well in the prelims, and we are really looking forward for all of you to participate in it, and I hope you all have a great experience answering the prelims. So, all the very best. If you have any questions or anything to share with us, you can email us at team@centa.org, or you can go on our website, centa.org, or my center platform, m.centa.org. Everything that you need to know about Center, you'll be able to find it over there. And if you aren't able to find something specific, you can write to us at team@centa.org. Okay. All right, with that, I'll close out. And I'm looking forward to everyone participating in the session on 7th. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. I'll see you all soon.